Let me ask you something. Have you ever held a dream in your heart? A dream of a magical place or a simpler time? A world of colorful whimsy and magical wonder? Well, me neither. But I don't know. It could be fun, right? I mean, it sounds nice. Well, that's basically Kena, Bridge of Spirits. It's a mystical adventure that's part Dark Souls, part Zelda, but not quite as good as either of those, but still finds a good place for itself somewhere in the middle. Kena takes place in a rural, sort of medieval type of world. You play as Kena, who's essentially a magical ghostbuster. You've come to this dying land to find ghosts, whack 'em, shoot 'em, and send 'em back where they belong. Most in particular, the big bad spirits that are tearing the land apart. That's not all you're here to do, though, and there's no shortage of other tasks around the land for you to take up. One of the main things you'll want to do is to find rots, these cute, sort of minion-esque creatures that hide all around the land. These creatures accompany you on your journey wherever you go, chittering along, taking poses on various things in your surroundings, and wearing hats. More on that later. Rots, in addition, are basically your EXP in this game, since you don't really gain points in a conventional sense. Instead, once you've found enough rots, you level up to the next level, and have the potential to learn new skills and abilities based on the amount you've found. As I said a moment ago, you can also buy them hats, which, I don't know, if you want to, I guess. You don't really see them so much during the game, and they're only cosmetic, they offer no gameplay benefits, but if you like playing dress-up for your little creatures, then go nuts, I guess. Another thing you do in this game is to clear the deadly blight away from the land, mostly by completing quests or by finding flowers and shooting them, also occasionally sometimes by delivering mail to houses, which I'm honestly not sure how that's supposed to work, but it's also a thing you do. There isn't much of an RPG element to this game. As far as I can tell, the game caps out at level 5, and there's not really much reason to grind out or anything. There's only a handful of skills and abilities you can learn, but that's fine, really. The game gives you everything you need, there's enough interesting options out there. I wasn't really bothered by the fact that it was so straightforward. Also, there's no stats, no equipment to find, and that's fine. I was just fine with that. Exploration is also another big part of Kena. The world is vast, but not too vast. Actually, most of the game takes place in a village and its surrounding areas, so there's not too much exploring to do. And the game isn't some sprawling epic like Breath of the Wild or similar sort of titles. I kinda like that, actually. Not everything needs to be some colossal 100-hour epic, but it also means that there's not a lot of variety in environments. Not a lot of changes in biomes either, really, until the end of the game, maybe. But, as I said, it's a shorter game, less epic in scope, and so I think that's appropriate, and it didn't bother me. And of course, there's combat in the game as well, which is fine, mostly, but a little clunky. You mostly alternate between whacking things with your staff, shooting them with arrows, throwing bombs on them, and also throwing in some dodge rolling and shielding where necessary. Combat is fairly active, you can also find weak spots on enemies to exploit, and that's kinda neat. But this is probably the area of the game that I had the biggest problems with. As I said, it's clunky, and what I mean by that is that there are a lot of pauses in combat that really break up the flow. Namely the fact that you have to switch in and out of aiming every time you want to shoot an arrow or throw a bomb. Using the shield as well makes you pause, both when activating and deactivating it. Additionally, dodging is kind of unreliable too. I was never really sure what attacks and animations you could dodge roll out of. The game would let me do things sometimes where I could dodge just fine, and other times lock me in an animation and I would take a hit. The biggest offender for me, though, was parrying, which, as far as I'm concerned, is a complete roll of the dice. It seems like every attack in the game has a different timing that it needs in order to parry, and I could never figure it out. This was particularly bad for boss fights. I mean, good luck trying to figure it out in the middle of a tense fight. At a certain point, once the fights got tough enough, I just gave up and relied on my other abilities. It's fine, I guess, for smaller fights and for most of the fights in the game, but as the difficulty ramped up, the clunkiness really got to me, and it wasn't enough to break the experience, but I probably wouldn't want to play this game on New Game Plus or up the difficulty any. I think I might just be fine as it is. I really like the theme of this game. There's just something very cute and wholesome about the whole thing, and I like the theme of healing and restoration that the game puts forward. There's just something immensely satisfying about cleaning up a mess and bringing a world back to life. I will say this, the game is absolutely beautiful. The animations and character designs and the world itself are all stunning. I love it all. The world is amazing. And I realized at a certain point in the game that comparing something like this to Zelda or Dark Souls is pretty unfair. It really is much more like a playable Pixar movie, and that's kinda nice. I really enjoyed it. Anyway, despite a few hiccups here and there, I thoroughly enjoyed this game. I might even play it again, though with the caveats I said before. Anyway, did you like it too? Let me know what you think. Alright, that's all I got. See ya.